Dune Part 2, once again directed by Denis Villeneuve, is the follow-up to the highly successful Dune film released in 2021. This film takes place immediately after the first film, and once again we follow Paul Atreides as he learns the secrets of the desert, and he starts to form a bond with Chani, played by Zendaya. While in the background, Feud Rotha, played by Austin Butler, emerges and slowly rises to power, as the Harkons seek to take out the Freemen once and for all. I just want to say really quickly before we begin, I did put out a review of the very first Dune movie a couple days ago, so if you haven't seen that video and you're just kind of still trying to get into the idea of watching this movie for yourself, maybe go over there and watch that video first before you watch this one, because I'm not going to spoil anything in this video, but just to get you all caught up, that would be a good thing to do. But with all that said, let's just start talking about Dune 2, and honestly, what can I say that hasn't already been said? This movie is absolutely killing it right now. Everyone on the planet, it seems like, is talking about this movie, and it's because this movie is amazing. Like, this movie is getting so heavily regarded by so many people, it's kind of crazy. Like, the last time I saw a movie get this highly regarded and praised was something like maybe Oppenheimer. A lot of people are talking about this movie, and it is worth it, because this movie, honestly, is probably one of the best sequels ever made, at least in the last couple years. I mean no exaggeration when I say this. I personally think that Dune Part 2 is better than the first film in almost every way. Which I'm going to say right now, I didn't think was really like that possible, just because I really liked the first film, but no, stepping into this movie and stepping out, I genuinely sat back and said, yeah, that was better than the first one. But I will say one thing that would have made it better is if I was able to buy the Dune popcorn bucket, which I was not able to get because my theater doesn't want me to be happy. But all jokes aside, getting back to the main review, I am very happy that this movie is doing so well. From my knowledge, it's actually making double of what the original made on its first day and its first couple days. Like, it's making a lot of money right now. And I understand there were some things going on during that time of the world, but regardless, it's impressive that a movie that really didn't do super well is just getting this attention. It's awesome. But before I get into some of my more specific points, I really just want to say that everything in my first video for Dune in terms of the things I like still stands in this movie. The cinematography in this movie is absolutely amazing. It's so beautiful. It almost looks better in this movie than it did in the last one, which I didn't think was possible. And not gonna lie, the effects this time around are still just as good, if not better, like I said, which is crazy. And yes, the world building, once again, incredibly engaging, incredibly unique, and just really, really well done. And of course, the music is absolutely amazing once again. You can't complain about the music. It's Hans Zimmer. Like, you just can't complain about it. It's just gonna be good no matter what. But moving away from the stuff you already know, I really want to talk about some of the standouts in this movie, because unlike the first movie, there's actually a lot of really good standouts in this movie in terms of performances that I really want to talk about, starting with Timothée Chalamet. Now listen, I understand that this guy has a lot of haters for some reason. Like, there's a lot of people that just do not like this guy. I honestly never really understood it, because like I said, I am actually a fan of this actor. I've liked him ever since he first appeared in Hollywood, and honestly, this movie might easily be his best movie he's ever been in. Like, he is so damn good in this movie, especially compared to the last movie, where in the last movie I thought he was really good, don't get me wrong, but this movie, he just gets so much better. He goes from this super grounded character who just wants to help the Freemen and just kind of be with them and stand by them sides to this commanding leader. Like, there's a really great sequence in the movie where he's like talking, giving this big inspirational speech to everyone, and the power and the commanding presence in his voice as he goes through the scene is honestly just really awesome. It shows really good range with his acting, and honestly, I really hope it just keeps going from there, because imagine how good his acting is going to be by the time the next movie drops. Like, honestly, if he's this good in this movie, I can only imagine what it's going to be when we get to 3, but honestly, he's just really good in the movie, a huge standout for me. And then we come to Zendaya, who I actually really enjoyed in this movie. I really do understand why she was so heavily advertised in the last film, even though she had like, what, 10 minutes of screen time, if that? She's really good in this movie. Like, she definitely proves herself to be a really good part of this movie. But most of all, I just really loved her chemistry with Timothée Chalamet. They were so good together. Very genuine relationship. It felt very real. It didn't feel like corny corny or anything. It just actually felt like these two people were in love, and I really liked that. And they went through a lot of struggles in the movie. It made their relationship genuinely interesting. Like, it wasn't just a cliched, like, oh, I'm gonna fall in love with you because you're far away and you're a king. No, it's not any of that dumb shit. Like, they actually do a really good job at developing their relationship throughout the film. And by the end of the movie, you're heartbroken by what actually happens, because I don't want to spoil it, but it's just really emotional, and it's really great in this movie. But saving best for last, I do have to talk about Austin Butler here. He is so good in this movie, and I do want to say something really quick, because there has been something floating around where he's being compared to Heath Ledger's Joker in The Dark Knight, and listen, he's really good in this movie, but I don't think he's quite there. It's a lot of glazing going on with his character. I'm not saying that it's bad. Like, his character's awesome. Like, he's really good. Very scary character, very intimidating, and I honestly just thought he was a menace throughout the movie. He was killing people left and right for, like, literally no reason. Like, they hand him, like, a whole bunch of swords, and he's like, oh, this sword's dull. And then he just walks up a random person and starts shanking him. He's like, it's too dull. Like, it's just too dull. And there's just, like, little moments throughout the movie like that where he's such a menace. Like, he is so scary, and he's honestly just a really good antagonist like that. He strikes fear into the heart of everyone he's around, and that goes for the audience too. He was a really fun and engaging character, and I just really loved Austin's performance throughout the entire movie. And another thing I really want to spotlight in this video is the action sequences. They are so good in this movie, but I just want to say this right now because I thought the action in the first film was really good, but this film felt a lot more polished in terms of its action sequences, and I think that really comes down to the choreography. I felt it was just way better in this movie. Much more fluid and almost just like, I don't know if it was better shot in a way or it was just constructed in a manner that made it more exciting, but honestly, it just felt way more energetic than that first film. There's a really great scene closer to the end of the movie where Paul Atreides and Austin Butler's character are fighting in a match to the death, and there's no music in the scene, and they're just like fighting. They're just hand to hand with knives, just duking it out, and not only is it just so intense, like, it's the best moment in the movie in my opinion, it's also just really good in terms of the choreography. Very slick, very exciting, and it kept me on the edge of my seat, and that applied to every action scene in the movie. Besides the big CGI battles, I was happy to say that those were just as engaging as the hand-to-hand combat, which I loved, because in the first film, I didn't really get that. Like, there was some good moments, don't get me wrong, but this movie, it was just 10 times more satisfying, and I really wanted to say something about it, because I thought it was just honestly immaculate. And another thing I really want to talk about is the pacing for this movie. In my first review for the very first Dune movie, I did mention that I think a lot of people will find this movie kind of boring because there's so much plot and there's so much lore and there's a lot of dialogue, and unfortunately some people don't want to just watch dialogue for 3 hours straight, and I felt like that may make the movie feel kind of boring to certain people. It certainly didn't for me, I didn't mind it that much, but for others around me and others I knew, that was a big complaint. But I'm happy to say I actually think that this movie specifically is way better paced than the last movie. There's still a lot of lore and there's a lot of dialogue, and it's very overwhelming in a way, but I say that in the best way possible. It's not overwhelming in a bad way at all. There's so much going on and it's all super interesting. But another thing about the pacing that I did appreciate this time more was that they actually managed to space out the action scenes with the dialogue exchanges a lot better. So the film felt a lot better in terms of structure, where there was exciting things happening where they were talking, and then you got to this really cool action scene and just kind of kept going throughout the movie. And honestly, it just felt so much better in this movie. I was 10 times more engaged the entire time this movie was going on because there was constantly something interesting going on every single second of the film. There wasn't really any moments that I was like disconnected from what was happening with our characters or distracted from something else. No, I was just locked in the entire movie. Like, I was loving it. There was people beside me kind of like look at me like trying to go like, oh yeah, this is good. But I was like, nah, don't talk to me. I'm watching this. And that alone is a testament just how good this movie is in terms of its pacing and structure. That a 3-hour movie could keep my attention so much that I just wanted to ignore everything else that was going on around me and just watch what was in front of me, because god damn it, it was so freaking engaging and I loved it. It was honestly such an amazing experience. Like, it was honestly one of the best theater experiences I've had maybe since just like last year when I went and saw Oppenheimer or Barbie. Like, it's up there. It was really good. Everyone was super engaged, having a great time, and that is why I'm going to give this movie a 9 out of 10. This is an absolute masterpiece, like easily. It's better than the first one. Cinematically, it's beautiful. The shots are immaculate. The colors in this movie, the sound, the world building, the characters this time around were 10 times better than the first one. The villain is great. Like, literally every aspect of this movie is just really, really good. And I just can't talk enough about it. Like, I've been thinking about this movie constantly since I've seen it, and I just want to see it again and again and pick up on everything I missed, because there's a lot of it. Like, there's a lot of hidden layers in this movie, and I was just such a fan of it, and I'm so happy that this movie actually got the proper recognition that it deserved. But yeah, that's it. That's my review for Dune 2. In short, amazing in my opinion. I friggin' loved it, but I want to hear your opinion in the comments. Did you love this movie? Did you hate this movie? Give me every opinion you have in the comments. I love reading them, and I'll make sure to maybe comment back. I always do that kinda. I like talking to my viewers. You're all pretty cool people, I'm not gonna lie. But with that said, if you liked the video, please like and subscribe down below for more content on the channel coming pretty damn soon, and I'm gonna see you on the next one.